Bit 16, you've never seen a review like this. Weird old games you cannot tame, these things you don't miss. SNES Man is the champion, he is 16-bit. SNES Man is the champion, he is 16-bit. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to see Contra 3. This is serious business now. Contra 3, The Alien Wars, an action-packed game for the Super Nintendo, 1992. It was also released in Europe as Super Probotector. This version had robots instead of the main characters. It's kinda cool, but we're gonna talk about Contra 3, the original version. This is an intense action-packed game and one of the best action games on the SNES. The intro shows a future city being blown up by an evil vortex from space. The Alien Wars begin. It's time for revenge. Let's attack aggressively. Wait, attack aggressively? As opposed to, say, attacking peacefully or attacking shyly? Okay, other than those translations, the game rocks. So, let's attack aggressively and get going. Let's get down to gaming. First off, this is not one of those wimpy games where the first level's an easy training level. This is a desolate future with no rules. Even in this level, there's quite a few items you can use. For instance, now I have the spread shot. Now this weapon is homing missiles. They're very weak, but they can attack many enemies at once. The whole level's full of explosions and cool things. You have to take out whole towers of fortifications just to get past. Here I'm blowing through all these idiots with the tank. If you play two-player mode though, the best part is squishing your friend like a Goomba. For a first level, it's pretty intense, but there are easy moments. Like this boss, you can just plow right through him. Just use the laser and blow him to bits. Then a plane flies in with Mode 7 graphics and explodes the place. This is where it stops looking like a first level. Everything's all exploding everywhere, fire rocks coming out of the ground, and you gotta be really careful not to get blown up. Okay, what's our first boss gonna be? A little wimpy enemy or... What's that? What the heck is that? Call Master Splinter. Leonardo's on the loose, mutated, and he's spitting baby Mothras at me. It's a pretty intense first boss. He's just awesome and intimidating. But like most bosses in this game, with some trial and error, you'll find a pretty good way to kill it. Oops, looks like Leonardo ate some fireworks. Maybe he thought they were anchovies. Yahoo, I look like the Governator! The game split up between side-scrolling segments and overhead adventures like Level 2. Now these levels are not quite as strong as the action-packed side-scrolling levels. The controls are more awkward on these stages. You have to press L to go left and R to go right instead of the control pad, and you have to line up your shot in a 3D axis. It's not a bad part of the game, but it's just a little weaker than the side-scrolling ones. Another thing I hear people complaining about are the bridges in the level. There's these thin little bridges you have to wedge your character across, and it's really easy to fall in. The second level boss is really creative. Instead of just sliding around from side to side, it jumps above the screen and comes back down on you with a 3D effect. You have to take off its arms so it won't shoot at you and then shoot the red spot that I think is its head. Like all the bosses, it's very well designed and very satisfying to kill. From here, the game ramps up its difficulty and makes the levels longer. Unlike in bad games though, the game gets better when it's harder. The more dramatic, intense scenes are really awesome because the controls and gameplay are so good that you won't whine when it gets harder. It's so creative too, especially in the boss designs. Here's a boss that keeps coming back to haunt you. It's this weird metallic creature with a red spot and a drill. Here's another version of the creature. It's got two arms now instead. This is a really intimidating scene because it opens up the wall and pretty much sticks you in a situation where you have to constantly try to dodge and find a way to attack it. The boss designs are ingenious and memorable. Here's two machine gun skeletons chasing you around. When you kill them, a giant skeleton rips its claws through the wall and comes after you. It's pretty terrifying the first time you watch it. This is the coolest boss in the whole game in my opinion, because it comes out of nowhere and it's so threatening. What game did you play today, good friend? I played Call of Duty. I shot a person. What did you do? I played Contra 3, and I shot a giant skeleton with giant arms. New games are better. This is a definition of the good times. This was when games were cool. It has minor problems and the graphics aren't top-notch, but this has some of the best action designs I've ever seen on the Super Nintendo. Yes, there are lots of annoying moments, like the overhead levels, and some platform jumping can be a little awkward, But seriously, how many action games on this console allow you to fight through swarms of bug aliens, run around on a motorcycle, or blow up a spaceship while jumping from missile to missile trying to survive? My point is that this game takes it up a notch. There's games on the Super Nintendo like Sunset Riders and UN Squadron that have really good action, but this seems to have way better stage designs and bosses. There's a big scope to this game, and it really feels like you're achieving something when you beat the bosses. They're big, gross, creepy, and really cool to fight. The reason it's so fun to play through these good designs is the controls. In most shooters, you can't quickly aim to every side. Even in Sunset Riders, a good game I like, it's tough to switch to angles such as diagonal up and diagonal down, but here it's flawless. Your character controls well and has really good guns. You start out with a machine gun, a very efficient basic weapon. You can get the old Contra classic, the spread gun. You can get weak homing missiles or strong charge missiles. A powerful but slow laser that's best only used on the top-down missions. My personal favorite is the flamethrower. This one turns the aliens into alien bacon. It may feel like there's not very many weapons, but really there's enough to get the job done. Okay, another topic. The sounds are very good and the music is very cool. It's a little outdated but still threatening. So creepy. The music just adds intensity to the intense game. It's intense, it's really hard, one of the hardest games on the Super Nintendo, and it rocks. Things to make it better. Improve controls and easier, less dizzying levels on the overhead missions. Fix a couple awkward jumps. This is evident in two-player mode when the two-player gets killed by being off-screen. Finally, a little more graphical detail in the characters. The main characters just have blurs for faces. Contra 3, The Alien Wars, my favorite action game on the Super Nintendo. Excellent game. A 9 out of 10. Phenomenal. Other recommendations: Sunset Riders, another great Konami shooter game. Another great action game by Konami is Turtles in Time. I also recommend Contra 4, a great DS game. But Contra 3, you can't beat it, and if you criticize it, and you cross me, or make me angry, then I'll say, let's attack aggressively.